Hello, everyone. Glad you can join us for our workshop. We're going to make pressed flowered lanterns. Now, these turn out to be just a beautiful accent decor piece. You can hang them outside as long as it's not raining. They're a dry weather thing, but they just make a beautiful decoration that you put a candle in. If you're going to use a real candle, I'd be very, very careful because they are just paper. But you can get those battery powered ones that mimic the real candle and put those in like a tea light or something, and they just glow so nicely at night or light up a room. You know, they're just beautiful and they're fun to make because I like to get my hands messy. So let's jump right in. So to start off, we're going to need our supplies. We have our tweezers, scissors, typical pressed flower using supplies. Going to need a small paintbrush. It can be a little bit bigger in this, but you don't need, a big paint the wall paintbrush. Spoon. Going to need, I would recommend a cup. This is because we're going to use a balloon, and this is to put the balloon in so it will stand for you. Then you can work on it. Otherwise, I found if you're trying to do it like this, well, actually you have to do it like this because you need to do the top. You're either holding it and you're getting everything messy, or it's moving on you. But the cup, hold it a little more steady. You still have to be careful, but it isn't going far. So, a balloon and your cup. Going to need the ingredients for making paper mache. Put them on the screen. 1 cup of flour. I already got mine measured out, but a cup of water, cool water, and 2 teaspoons of salt. So we'll mix them up in a bit. You will want, of course, your pressed flowers, whatever you choose to use. If you're part of the pressed flower club, then you can use the fun flowers that you got in your packet. Just regular white printer paper, and then tissue paper. You can use colored tissue paper. I like to use white so that the color of the flowers shows through easily. And the accent or the focal point is really on the flower. So I like to use white so that the color just pops. But you can use, any color printer paper, any color tissue paper that you like. This all just comes down to preference. And that's what we need. So you will want a bowl, a good sized bowl. We're going to start by making our paper mache, our paste for it. Like I said, I've already got mine mixed up. So a cup of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, just going to mix that into my flour. Then you'll want to put this in a pretty large bowl. So I just have a regular soup bowl and it isn't big enough once we add the water. I find that I make a mess everywhere. So we're going to put this in a larger bowl. Just get in a larger bowl. I'll put my flour mixture there. You can just start off with a larger bowl, but it was easier to show you the ingredients on the video in a smaller bowl. So that's my flour and salt mixture. The bowl. And then 1 cup of water. And I'm going to mix this. We're going to mix it until smooth. So I'm going to mix a little bit. If you've done paper mache before, then you're familiar with this. And try to get it as smooth as possible. So we don't want, got to squish our lumps out. Get all the flour mixed in. We're getting the lumps out here, just a few small ones. So did add a little bit more water to it, and I have gotten the lumps out. If your recipe is too thick, that's the starting point. You can add a little bit more water. Just a little bit at a time. You don't want to make it too runny, but you don't want it so thick that you can't wipe it, that it really gets pasty on the paper in your balloon. There you go. It is also handy to have a cloth. And after I measured out my water, I left some, went and got some extra water to dip in and just kind of rinse. So you could have a bowl of water or something helpful when this gets quite messy. Got my balloon. I have just going to use 2 pieces of paper right now. We're going to tear these into about 2-inch strips. I mean, it's not exact. I'm just going to tear them. You don't want them too wide, but they don't have to be straight or anything. I'm going to tear up pieces of paper. Now, depending on the size of your balloon or the size of the lantern that you're making, you might need more. You might not need so much. But this is what I'm going to start with. So I have my balloon. It's going to be upside down. So this is the part that's, lantern is going to be here. So I'm going to cover the bottom. We don't want to cover the entire balloon. We want to cover, leave a section uncovered. Once we can get the balloon out, you want to be able to get the candle in. So you want a big enough hole there. So almost size of my cup, actually. So it's not that much. We'll trim it. So you do want to do a little bit more than your finished product will want, because we'll trim it and make it a smooth edge. So we're just going to coat our paper. I'm going to do this fairly quickly because it does get soggy really fast and it will start to fall apart. Just run the paper through your fingers, get the extra off, and then just start covering your balloon. Now with it standing on the cup, this wet paper is going to make it a little want to fall over because it'll get a little top heavy. So if you're using the cup like I'm using, you will want to try to keep it layered evenly. So that it doesn't get too heavy on one side and go rolling off your cup. I have had that happen. Now, we don't have to cover it completely. Did you want your pieces to overlap? Just smooth down any wrinkles that come because you will have them. You're covering your balloon. It's round with rectangular paper. So when I do one side, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the other side to keep it somewhat even so it doesn't want to roll away from me so easily. But you do want to keep an eye on it because it might do that. If you don't mind the mess, this would be a fun activity with children. Love getting their hands messy, and it's just fun and easy thing that they can create. Fun activity if you don't already have your flowers pressed, or if you do want to do it with kids, is you could go on a nature walk, go get your flowers, come back. You use a microfleur, you can press them and then use them right away in this project. So that would be an extra fun outing and fun activity to add the kids to. You want to help them with the microfleur and the actual pressing so that your flowers will press nicely and not burn if they're overdone. But they can help put them in the press. You could run the microwave, and then everybody can sit down, make their lanterns. One more piece. You want it to overlap, but we don't want it too thick that the light won't shine through. So this is just to give us the shape once we remove the balloon. I think we're going to do one more piece. on the top. Here we go. Let's just check this over. Might put one more piece along the bottom, but diagonally here. This just to hold, just to give a little more structure. Here. And I think we're done. Okay, so I've let that dry a little bit just to make it a little bit easier to handle and so I don't move any layers. It's not completely dry, but it is mostly, and things are should stay in place. You can do this this part with the next layer without letting that dry, and if it's still wet and tacky, then you won't need to add a layer of paste before the tissue paper. So we're going to move on to our tissue paper, and it's the same idea as the paper. We're still gonna pull some strips, keep some strips, just tearing it. I'm going to make them shorter strips just to make them easier to handle. I have a big piece of tissue paper here. And if any come out wide, I just pull them a little narrower. Get this out of the way. We're going to do more layers of tissue paper. So you'll want probably quite a bit of this. Again, I'm not being careful because it doesn't matter. The little mosaic lines and stuff we're going to get just adds to the look of it. This was a pretty big square, so I'm just going to rip the whole thing. Here we go. Push those aside. Just gonna give this a stir. It's kind of settled on me. This is where your paintbrush comes in. A little bit wider paintbrush would make this faster, but this is the only one I have. So we're gonna paint generously and just kind of spread it around. This is because, again, mine dried. The papers were kind of slipping around, so I let mine dry. So this is working on a different one here. I've got ones in various stages so that I can do this in the workshop. So so this is dry. But if you're following along, you don't have to let yours dry. If you find your pieces are moving on you, then it might be a good idea to. I'm just putting down a thin layer. Do it more. I want to make sure that it all sticks down, so I'm going to coat big spot before I put my paper down. Even over the holes where you didn't put paper, the printer paper. And again, we're just going to layer tissue paper down. We're going to do multiple layers of the tissue paper. Using the paintbrush part is a little less messy than using your hands too. And then you can use the paintbrush to smooth it out too. Tissue paper will help us build up a little bit more structure to it, but allow the light to come through. So the first paper was just to give us kind of the foundation. The tissue paper isn't going to be too strong. And then now we're going to build it up with tissue paper so that we have the light to come through. Tissue paper is very delicate, and which is why we're using the paintbrush. If you were to dip it in, it would probably just fall apart in your bowl before you could get it out. Again, you want to overlap your pieces. That the whole thing stays together. Overlap it. Just patting it down with my fingers, and then I'm going to smooth it out with my paintbrush. Any bubbles I might get, paintbrush takes care of. You don't have to worry about what it looks like when you're just patting it down. A little time here. This part I like, just kind of lets me slow down, think, almost therapeutic. Just sitting here painting and adding layers. And again, I'm working my way down to where I stopped, down under where I stopped with the paper layer. So anywhere you put printer paper, you want to coat with tissue paper. And just go back over and smooth it out. Paint over the top. Generous with this. Working my way around one layer at a time. By painting over this, it's like you're getting ready for the second layer. You just stick it to what you've painted over. If it's still wet enough. If it's not, then you would just add a little bit more to stick it down. While you're doing this, you can also be thinking what kind of flowers you want to put on it, how you want to arrange them, planning for the next stage. Quite a bit. So I'm gonna bunch on here and then brush it all down. That way I can get it stuck on before it starts to dry. Some of the spots where the layer I just laid down overlaps, so it's sticking, but I'll just go and brush a little bit on it, or under it, I mean. Stick down. Just working the way around. building up the layers. You want to try to get it under each layer and then smooth it out. Any layers peeling on you. Hammer here. If you're watching the replay, you can fast forward through this. Or you can just keep working on your own right along with me. You know, some people like to watch the whole thing before trying it themselves, and that's perfectly fine. Sometimes it's a little easier to get the whole idea of what's going to happen, and then you can get a better idea of what you're doing and work through it again with us when you watch it the second time. Went down pretty good, so I'm gonna add more. For these, I'm trying to make the tissue paper go different directions. Kind of help hold it together, the grain of the tissue paper, and just kind of make more design, and it makes sure that I'm not missing any spots. I lay my layers down. You want to keep a generous amount on your paintbrush. If it gets too dry, just starts wiping or tearing the delicate tissue paper. You want to keep your paintbrush wet. That way it slides easily over the tissue paper. Next time I should have some music to put on while we work. What kind of music do you guys like that you would enjoy as background music for the workshop? Put in the Facebook group suggestions if you would like background music, and what kind. We'll take a vote, or maybe we'll try to get a variety. There is a large variety in the votes. Well, one day it might not be your thing, but the next time maybe it would be. But let us know. Let me know what you would like. Okay, I'm going to put more tissue paper down. Pretty coated on the top, so it should stick fairly easy. Coated, and then so you can see what's happening on this side. I am trying to cover and make layers up to where I had stopped before. So if I need to, I'll just add pieces to go there. And don't worry about this being rough. If you've got pieces sticking out, we're going to trim it. So that's what that looks like on that side. I lost a piece stuck to my cup. Okay. all the workshops we do have this much downtime where we're just kind of methodically working on something. This one, this part of it is takes a little while. We're almost ready to the fun part. We add our flowers and make it unique, beautiful. Get little gummies on your paintbrush, just brush them off so they don't make a hard lump in your lantern. Like that right there. Sometimes if it starts to dry and you're wiping over it again, it just kind of gums up a little bit. Wipe it off and right on it going. Bigger paintbrush would make this a little faster. Just generously put this on. If you have a bigger paintbrush, you want to do one layer at a time because it might be hard to get up and under these. Big one. This little one works good just for tucking up under these layers that didn't have anything wet under them. Hey, got it all stuck down. And while it's still wet, if we find a spot that's a little dry, we can add to it. Now it's time. This is where you can choose. I like to put a layer down, and then we're going to put tissue paper, one layer of tissue paper over the top. And this adds depth to our lantern. So gather your pressed flowers. Tweezers are handy at this point if you need them. Scissors if we need to cut pieces off. Okay, so while it's still stuck down, now you want to remember, before we place our flowers, this is the bottom. So you don't, it's going to sit here, and we are going to flatten out a part here where it's going to sit on a table or wherever you place it. So you won't see this part. So we're only working, we're only really working this much around. And again, the top, we're going to trim. So don't go right up to the top just yet. You want to leave some space for the bottom. We are going to kind of flatten it. And so when you place your flowers, you're going to place them upside down, because if you're doing it like I am and your balloon is in a cup, your lantern is upside down. So with it still wet, I'm going to place my flower. And it's not going to stick completely because it's not really like glue, but it is a little tacky. And I'm going to put a few just around the outside, probably 4 on this one. This is where you get creative. Whatever look you're going for. There. I'm trying to have some flowers that are similar color, but different kinds of flowers. Now you can decide to make like a bouquet or a picture on the front and just leave it at that. You can put it so they go the whole way around. How you arrange your flowers is up to you. Okay, so you see the stems aren't sticking very well. That's okay. Now that I have my flowers on, I'm going to make sure, I'm not going to paint over the flower, but I do want to make sure it's wet around the flower. I'm going to take my tissue paper and let's see how I can do this where you can see. I'm going to put it, place it, and then let's see, tip this. I'm going to place it over the flower. Whoops. Okay, now I'll show you. So I'm just putting one layer over the flowers. And I'm going to do that the whole way around to all those flowers that I just put on here. And this will help hold the stems down too. Right now I'm just kind of loosely placing the tissue paper. Picked up some dirt off the table. Over all the flowers. Gently pressing it down around the flowers. Making sure I've covered all of them completely. I'm just going around making sure I've covered everything. Push it down. Sticks. The back and stick it down good. And if you got stems on your flowers like I do, you might need to hold them a little bit until the paper mache paste can dry a little bit and help hold it down. And this is where I'm actually brushing over the tissue paper that's over the flower, and it will shine through, it will show through a little bit, but it'll have a nice matte, it won't show through completely, but it will, you'll be able to see it. Then we're going to stick more flowers on the outside, and that will give it depth to the picture, because the ones under the tissue paper will look like they're behind, farther away, or you'll see them, but you won't see them as vibrantly. Those are the ones that will glue on the outside. Set my paste again, it's kind of settling on me. All right, we're almost done. And if you want to add even more depth, you can do this again. You can add more flowers on the top of this tissue paper and then cover that. Do another layer of flowers to tissue paper. For the sake of time, we are going to leave it like this. Got a little funny there. One stem. Don't want to stick down. I'll just have to keep my eye on that. And if it doesn't, then I can put some glue in there and make sure it sticks. Just double check it. Make sure we have everything covered. Stuck down. So this is the part where now it's going to want to dry. We need it to dry so we can stick flowers on the outside. That's how it looks with the one layer of tissue paper. So set that aside. Now I did make another one before the workshop so I'd have an idea of how I'm going to lay out my flowers, and I usually do a test run just to make sure I have an idea of how I want to arrange my flowers and kind of remind myself. Get a little nervous doing these workshops, so I just like to do a test run ahead of time, but it also lets me, like in this case, I can bring a dry one and we can do the workshop all at one time. So I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to get the one that I did a little bit earlier that is dried. So I can clean this up too. Just give me a minute to shift gears. Okay, so we're set up for the next stage. And this is when you can bring back your pressed flowers. This is nice and dry. This is the one that finished earlier. Look how nice that looks. Now we're going to put some flowers on the outside that the color will really pop because there's nothing over them. But then I like this because it just adds a little bit of depth to the design. But again, it's however you want to put your flowers. You can just put them all on top. You can put them all under a layer of tissue paper. It's your project. You can get creative. I'm just showing you the different things that you can do with it. So still have our balloon. And this might make some noise, but we're going to pop it. Yep. You want to take the balloon out. Carefully remove our balloon. It has lined the inside of my paper mache. So I'm just peeling that out. Be really careful not to crack my lantern. There we go. garbage. Now you can see how it's wobbling. It just wants to go all over. What we can do is we're going to find where the bottom is. So first, I think the easiest thing is you can see how it's jagged, it's uneven. You can see, trying to hold it where the camera, you can see. You can kind of gauge where the bottom is there. Hold it so it's level, and just all you do, take your scissors and just carefully trim off the rough edges. Just make them smooth. This is the part that was sticking up quite a bit, so I'll take a little bit more off of here. See, like this, maybe you can see a little bit better. I can still cut it and hold it this way. Just cut it in small parts at a time. So it might be a little hard to get your scissors level if you try to do too much of the scissors. There. Okay, now looking at it, I still have a bump right there. So we're gonna, sorry guys, I gotta hold it like this so I can hold it steady. But I'm gonna trim this bump off a little bit at a time so we don't overdo it. Look, that looks fairly good. Trim just a little bit. All right. Not perfect, but I like that. Trim around the top to your liking. And I'm going to find the bottom. Right here, it's about center. And you want to just carefully wet the bottom. Doesn't have to be a big space. We're just gonna wet the bottom a little bit so that we can press it and make it flat so that our lantern will sit level and won't want to roll. Won't want to roll, go all over the place on us. I'm just dampening it. I'm also gonna put a little bit inside. Just making it damp. Oops, sorry, get my head in the way. See what I'm doing. Don't want to get it too wet. We just want it damp enough that we can kind of bend it a little bit without breaking it. Just to give it a flat base to sit on. Start to come. Just be patient with that and don't push too hard. You don't want to crack anything. Just wanted to bubble up on the inside too. So I'm just pushing this, flattening out the bottom to the table. That flattened out that little indent that I had there. All right, now it's more stable. And you can make it bigger if you want to, or however you feel it needs to sit to be stable, especially if you're going to put a candle in it. But I highly recommend just those battery operated tea lights, which are great and they're safer. As long as we have it sturdy. You make the base at least big enough around for your tea light, so your tea light has a flat space to sit inside as well. While that kind of dries and hardens again, we can continue decorating. So these are the pressed flowers that I would like to put on the outside. I've kind of got a color scheme going where it's different flowers, but similar color. And for these, I'm not going to use the stems, where the little scissors come in handy. Trim the stems off them. And handling your flowers, this is where your tweezers come in handy. Sometimes they're a little hard to pick up off the table. But you can also slide them to the edge and come up that way. Or one here. There we go. We'll try that. So you dry off your paintbrush you were using. We can pull out our Mod Podge or our glue, whatever you're using. Can be any type of adhesive. We're not really needing to go with archival or anything like that because these will be exposed to light. It's a decorative piece. We just want to, you can do it two ways. You can either put the glue on here and then stick your flower, especially if they're really delicate and they want to roll on you if you wet them. These ones are a little stiff, so we're gonna just we're going to do the flower first and then stick it to. If you paint your lantern and then stick your flower on, you will have kind of a shiny space in the spots that your flower doesn't cover. You just want to be aware of that. It's just not bad. It's just going to be a different look. Oops. Part of my flower stuck. You do want to be careful of that. From that side. Really delicate, gentle with your flowers. So I just took some scissors. Didn't realize I was off camera. I'm sorry, I got to keep within my workspace here. I just trimmed off the spot that stuck. So now I'm going to place my flowers and just stick them on. So that's one way of doing it. You can see you still get the clear or the matte finish of the paper mache, and the flower is stuck on there. Now this is multi-layer, so my petals are going to stick up on me. And so I'm just showing you the different ways you can do it. If that happens, then I would very carefully take my paintbrush and stick down the loose parts. That's a bit tedious. It is possible, and it depends on the look that you're going for. The easiest way is what I'll show you next, because I find it's easier, it's faster, and it will help protect your paper mache because we're going to seal everything. So for that, I actually got a foam brush. This is where our fingers are going to get sticky, but I'm just going to start with where I want to put my flowers. And this is going to make this a little bit soft, so want to handle your lantern with care. I'm just getting glue down in all the little wrinkles and stuff. So I'm just going to do where I'm putting my flowers first. Where the tweezers go. I'm going to stick those down. Some spots with some bubbles from my foam brush, so I'm just smoothing those out so that they don't dry in there. Not sure if you can see. You can kind of see the shiny spots around the flowers. That's what the whole thing's going to look like. So right now I'm just worried about gluing my flowers on. And where the flowers are going to go, I want to get it down in all the wrinkles. A bit more. Here it is. a little thick there. If you need to, hold it down until the glue can start to dry a little bit. Be careful of your fingers getting sticky on your flowers too, because you don't want your flower to stick to your fingers. You need it to stick to the lantern. Just kind of cleaning up the extra. Now, pushing this down. Mod Podge will dry clear. You want something that, some kind of adhesive that will dry clear. Oh, stay up there. Now the part that's thicker down by the stem or in the center, you might have to go back and hold them down a little bit. Just make sure they get stuck on there real good. Balance this here so that you can still see it. Flowers don't want to come off. Slide the end of the table, makes them a little easier to pick up when they're too flat to get with the tweezers. Okay. More. got my flowers on where I want them. I'm just going to go back around and make sure they're stuck. Just repressing them down. Especially the bottoms on mine, which are the stiffer, thicker parts of these flowers. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a layer over my flower. This is going to seal the flowers in. And I'm just going to make it a thin layer, so I'm going to wipe off as much as I can. I'm going to spread it around because what we're doing is we're going to coat the whole thing. And that will, just lightly, we don't want to make it moist enough that it loses its shape like we did for the bottom. But we just want to put a thin layer all over the outside, and that will help protect the paper mache as well, especially Mod Podge that once it's dry helps seals out moisture and stuff. So it'll just last a little bit longer, protect the outside flowers. This oxygen is one of the things that pressed flowers do not like. Oxygen and humidity are not friends of pressed flowers. So if you want to preserve the color of your flowers longer, you want to seal out both of those. So in this case, we're using Mod Podge. In other applications, you can use a sealer spray, floral sealer. But for most basic projects, Mod Podge is a good choice. Not going all the way down to the bottom because I don't want to stick it to my workspace. And then when it's dry, we can come back and seal the bottom. The petals are sticking up, so I'm just gonna work some glue in underneath to put them down. And if you're painting over flowers like this, I'd recommend start from the center and go out with the petals. Because if it sticks, you could fold it under, break it off. So go in the direction of the petal from center to the outside. And as you work, you can see what's been coated and what hasn't been by the shine from the Mod Podge. You should be able to see on your own project. I'm not sure if you can see mine on the camera or not. But as you do your own, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Sure, I get along the top. I'm almost the whole way around here. There's a little section left to go. Just turning it every which way so I can see what spots don't shine back at me. Okay. Once you've made it around, you just want to leave it so you don't get brush marks too much in it. Just see some spots where I've got bubbles from my foam brush, so I'm gonna smooth those out. Fix any spots that I've missed. Got some bubbles in the wrinkles, so I want those to dry in the project. All right, and again, bottom is not done. It's still damp a little bit from where we leveled the bottom. So I'm going to set that there. And I'm just making sure the bottom is flat. To sit in the spot that doesn't have glue. Now the bottom can dry, the glue can dry. Once the bottom's dry, you can finish coating the whole thing. If you want, you can also take the time and coat the inside. It's not necessary, but it would just coat the bottom. It will help just give that some strength, but make sure it's completely dry first where we dampened it. And then you are ready to go. So once your lantern is dry, if you would like, you can take a hole punch and you can, I don't have one or I would do it, but you can take a hole punch and just punch a hole there, punch a hole on the other side, you know, directly down a little bit from the lip, and you can put wire or you can put string and have a hanging lantern if you like, or you just have it like this where it will sit on a coffee table or wherever you'd like to sit and enjoy it. We would love to see what you made with this workshop or other things that you do with pressed flowers. So share a picture in the Facebook group, share it with the community. We like to see the creativity and the beautiful things that people make with pressed flowers.